Hey, what's up guys, it's T-Bone here and welcome back to another episode of playing Legendary Game of Heroes. So we're now in preview day for the event Safari of Cybernetic Carnage. So let's take a look at the event deck here and we'll take a look at, the cards in action and we can talk about, what we see here. Now what I'll tell you is that this is another version of the Halloween deck. And this particular deck comprises of the Master Collection, 2 event cards, 1 ultra rare card, and 1 support card. So there's a significant change to this deck though, and that is whereas in the past the ultra rare cards are the ones that created the power gems, you can now create the same thing using the event cards. So every event card here has the ability to create power gem 1 and fill up the board with it, whereas the Master Collection card will actually generate power gem 2s. So it's nice because it's a lot more attainable by having the event card be the one that can generate power gems compared to before. So that's a really nice thing here. And also another thing that we can see here is that there's no guaranteed dispel in this event compared to the last Slayer event. And you can see that the Guild Boss casts Weaken, which effectively takes your damage and divides by 2. So if the feature card and the Master Collection card can both generate power gems, what does the ultra rare card do? Well, the ultra rare card you can see here actually speeds up this whole process by increasing the intensity count and also gives a damage buff. And we can look at the specific details later when we look at the cards. And also, what I want to show later is sort of how much pay attention to how much damage this entire team will deal once it hits the intensity threshold, which is 350. So 350 really is the threshold where you'll be able to, every single card will fill out the entire board with power gems. And so, once you hit that, you'll be able to then fill out the board. And in this case, basically a board full of power gem 4s. So if you look at the damage output here, so you can see the 24 billion by the Master Collection and 18 for the event cards, etc. And so it's really good damage output for the event itself. And we will definitely take a look at those cards and we can take a look at some of the other options. And now let's take a look at the base deck that they've shown here. In my opinion, it's actually not necessary to be showing the Master Collection in the base deck because the feature card can do a really good job by itself. And this is one of those decks where having just 1 or 2 would actually be sufficient for the event itself. And so having played a lot of the Halloween type decks, I know that having 2 would be obviously better than 1. But beyond that, I think you'll definitely have a lot easier time if you get 3 or 4. But having 2 actually isn't too bad. So I would say that you may not be able to finish a guild boss in one fight with 2 event cards there, but you'll get pretty close. And so now you can see that Brutus Mark is one of the other cards in here because it was a collection hero. We'll talk about those cards. I have my feelings about the card selections there, and let's actually speak for a little bit and see how much damage they were able to deal near the end here. So we're able to basically take the boss down from 100 billion down to 32, it looks like. And so about 70 billion damage was the output there. So that's pretty good. But like I said, I don't think that the Master Collection card is really as necessary for a base deck perspective, meaning if you don't get the runes, if you don't get that card, it's not going to be significantly impeding your ability to do well for this particular event. But that does mean that hopefully you can get lucky with the 5-star collection card and also maybe invest in getting another event card at tier 3. You do get 500 gems back if you do choose to try after that, or in the worst case, tier 4 will get you one as well. And so now let's take a look at the cards here. So I already said that this is pretty much like the Halloween deck, so I'm not going to talk too much about the same mechanics already, but we will talk about some of the other things that are a little different. So Ultra Ivar this is a creature, so this is a light creature event, and I think this one is pretty much the same, right? So this will just create power gems, and it creates it for every 10 stacks of intensity. the thing here is pay attention to the cooldown. So the cooldown, if you haven't played with this before, there's a 7-turn cooldown. Compared to any of the previous decks now, this is really long. So it's a really long cooldown, and in order to be effective, you need to actually do a lot of quick swaps. So this card will dispel Weaken. And then if you take a look at the other cards, the Master Collection card, Primal Guardian, generates two Power Gem 2s. So instead of Power Gem 1 at using 8 stacks like the previous ultra rares that you see, this just goes ahead and gives you Power Gem 2. And this will counter Chaos. Now, Chaos isn't too big of a deal. Chaos is really not big of a deal for Halloween type decks because you don't really depend on any previously existing power gems or gems anyway. So, I feel like, okay, so this one is not an impact at all. Weaken is a little annoying because your damage is going to be halved, but it's not too bad. We can take a look at the other cards here. So the support card, now this one I'm not too sure about the decision. So they used balanced. So it's a balanced creature as opposed to a warrior creature. There's no card that really gives you any boost to balanced. And so I feel like this took away the ability for more deck building. If this was a warrior card, then you could have at least paired it with Solace or with Catherine. These options. Even if you made it an attacker, so that you can pair it with Angel Uriel, an older card. But the point is, nothing really boosts balance, so you're now stuck with a light creature. So that's unfortunate there. But this card is essentially the same as the Drake People, where it will create intensity, create light gems, and also increase recovery. So we can talk about how to really use this to help, how to use this card to help keep your team alive in the next episode. But having 2 of these, I would recommend getting at least 2 of these cards, because running 2 of these cards will be required for you to stay alive and also get the maximum damage. But really, I think if health is a problem, then you can just throw in Aladdin or the Wicked Queen or Leifer. These are all good options as well. So now finally we'll talk about the ultra rare here. So this is a 5-star. I don't have the 6-star stats, but we can take a guess here. So Blazing Condor will destroy all non-light gems on the board. It feels kind of counterintuitive because you're when you're playing a Halloween deck, you're basically generating power gems. So really, you're using this battle skill not to complement the gem spawn ability, but really to increase to heal and to increase the intensity. Notice that it has a 3-turn cooldown. So really, the way you'll want to play this is in between, like while you're waiting for the next battle skill to be available. You just want to use this so that you can generate intensity faster, because you want to get to the magic number of 350 as early as possible. There's also a passive ability here where it will give you a 20% increase in attack for every 10 light power gems that's on the board. And so once you fill up the board with power gems, there's 35 total. You'll be able to increase the attack by up to 60. Now I'm guessing that if it's a 6-star, it might boost 20% for every 5 light gems. So I'm assuming that 6 stars, it's probably gonna go up to 40%. And I would say that calculated to about 120%. I think if you get multiple ultra rares, but if you have 5 light gems, with 35, that's 27, 140%. And so we'll see what it'll be like at 6 stars, but you get some additional boost, but this is not uncapped. So this is a capped boost. So that means basically once you get, to intensity 350 and, everything is always full, you're going to have consistent damage output. But from what we saw in the video, you don't really need much more than that in order to take down the guild boss. And so that's really the most difficult, I think the highest health at this point in Commander. So this shouldn't be an issue at all. So with this particular deck, everything is good, but the support cards that are, part of the collections aren't really helpful, right? So we have Lycius, which really just helps with the Fable intensity. And then you have Brutus Mark, which generates power gems, not power gem, light gems, and is a technological hero. And then you have Sinbad. Sinbad is actually available in the dust shop for, you can get him at the 20 dust, but was an ultra rare card back in its event, so it's going to be really difficult for you to get. I should say the chances of getting it would be low. Not that it would be difficult, but that you should expect that there's a low chance. And this card also generates light gems. So you have two different cards that effectively does exactly the same thing as the support card. And so I would say, really, if you're running two of the support cards already, I would use either Brutus Mark or Sinbad over Lysias for sure. Now you'll want to put in those cards in there because you want to take advantage of the 10 times commander bonus, but otherwise, unfortunately, I'm not seeing much use for them right now. Although I would say that if you have the previous Fable cards, so if you have the Fable Halloween type deck like the Apollo deck, you could already use Lysias anyway to get additional damage output. So that would be something you can consider if you already have invested in the past. So let's go ahead and open some runes. So these are the 3 runes here, and we can see what we'll get here. Now, to be honest, me personally, I don't, because I already have I have 2 full light commander decks. And so this will be a nice to have for me, but I don't intend to really invest too much into it. We'll see if I get lucky with my rune pulls, that'll be great. And also with my collection cards. I'll see if I can get the event card just so I can test it out. So it looks like no duplicates this time, so we'll see how things go. And actually, there's another thing I kind of wanted to talk about, and that is, so let's, I mentioned earlier that I don't think Master Collection card is really necessary in this deck, and the reason why I kind of want to explore this with you. So this is something like I had done on my own. There was a damage calculator that was a blog post that was posted by Alex Berg, and I took the formula and I created some sort of a visualization to help understand, predict how much damage you could potentially deal. And so actually what I had done here was I had already sort of input the values for this particular event deck from the video that we saw, where the event card had about 3,000 attack, and then the support card had 1,500, and the Master Collection card had 4,000. I couldn't really see the ultra rare, so I assumed it was about 3,500. And then you saw that it was power gem type 4. It was a full board of power gems, so 35 power gems on the board plus 35 gems altogether. I didn't actually change the relic amount, but I think it was level 6 for each of them, and so the attack for a relic actually is a little bit high there, and I assume that it was 120% increase based on the ultra rare. So if you input all of these parameters in there, and you're in the commander event, during the event, in this case where you have the ultra rare and support cards, etc., this was the expected output. So you can see the Master Collection card dealt about 22 billion and the event card about 17 billion. It's not exact, but this is actually pretty close. And so if we take this now and sort of apply the same thing and say, well, if you don't have the Master Collection card, but you do have a full team of maybe, let's say, 3 support cards and 2 event cards. So we can say that you can safely say you're expected to then generate Power Gem 2 on the board. And you can fill it up once the intensity is at 350, and let's say there's no attack increase, you don't have the ultra rare card. What kind of damage could you expect? Let's change this now to, I think this was 3,000. So let's say you max out the event card, and support card we'll leave it at 1,000 because we know that it's pretty weak. So given this, you can expect, let's see, make sure we change this to 3 keys. So 3 keys, Power Gem 2, if you have 5 relics, so unfortunately I couldn't really do much about this one, but this does assume you have 5 relics, all at about 1,000. So, we could lower this a little bit, but the amount will be similar anyway. At intensity 350, your event card is expected to deal 8 billion. All right, and that's by itself. And so if you have 2 event cards, that's 8 billion each. And then your support card, basically unleveled, at 1,000 attack, it's also going to deal about 3 billion. So the way this particular visualization is set up just kind of tries to it tries to account for all of the possible cards in the deck. And so that's why I put the Master Collection UUR in there and the Ultra Rare in there. It doesn't mean that you need to have it. It just means if you were to have these cards, this is kind of damage you can expect. And so right now we're just looking at the event card during its event. And this does assume that you're going to have, 4 cards with 10 commander bonus and 1 with 13. So if you don't have the ultra rare, this value will be a little bit lower. So I would say probably instead of 8, probably around 7 billion. Again, there's some margin of error as well. I'm still tweaking this, but you should expect between 6 to 8 billion damage with 2 event cards. And so I think that this is going to be pretty good in terms of damage. And so hopefully this works out for you. And again, I would like for you to use this as a reference as opposed to me saying, thinking that I'm telling you to go and get the cards. I just feel like if you can get these event cards for free, or if you already intend on spending it up to tier 3 or tier 4, then you should be able to do pretty well in this event without worrying about the Master Collection hero. So I will leave this link in my description below if you wanted to reference it. And also, check my math. Let me know, give me feedback on it. And, I'm always tweaking on this. Just make sure that gets accurate. So also the link to Alex's blog is linked here as well, so you can take a look for your own leisure. So that is pretty much it for this particular preview. Hopefully this has been helpful. I think that this is a event where, I'm happy that, you're still expected to be successful even if you don't have the Master Collection card or the Ultra Rare card. I hope this works well. It's just that you're going to have to figure out ways to dispel the debuffs, and we can get into that in the next episode. So that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks for your time, and I'll see you next time. Take care.